It never fails.
Oh, with low down to 47. Tomorrow partly sunny, warmer with a high of 75.
We don't have time for this.
What time is it?
10 after. We're late already.
I can just barely see the headlight.
Yeah, it looks pretty far away.
Should I try it?
Probably not going very fast. We could be here forever. Why don't you go on around?
Okay, here goes.
Hi, I'm Andre Anderson.
And I'm Stephanie Moritz. What you just saw was staged, but it happens every day. Somewhere, somebody decides to go around a lowered railroad crossing gate in South Bend, Mishawaka, and Elkhart, and doesn't make it.
And that's just one example of the dangerous things people do around railroad tracks. This program will help you better understand some of those dangers.
Railroad crossings can be very confusing, especially when there are 2 or more tracks. You can easily be distracted by one train and never think to look the other way. It isn't unusual for 2 trains to pass the same crossing at the same time.
You never know what to expect at a railroad crossing, so the only safe way to deal with it is to stop and wait until the lights stop flashing. Or if there's a gate, wait until the gate goes back up. You might think you can make it easily, but it isn't worth the risk.
Andre, I've always wondered what to do if the lights are flashing or the gates are down, and you wait and wait and wait, and a train never comes.
That's a good question, and there's only one answer. Never go through flashing lights, and never go around lowered gates for any reason. If there's no train coming, turn around, go to the nearest phone, and call the police. They can contact the railroad authorities and have the crossing open again in a matter of minutes.
Do you realize how big and powerful a train is? Do you have any idea how long it takes for a train to stop? Do you know all the laws that apply to railroad tracks and railroad crossings?
Keep watching, and you'll hear the answers to these and other questions.
This empty can is no match for a car. The can weighs about half an ounce. The car, 1 ton. But that's nothing compared to this. This is a 140-ton locomotive, and it can do the same thing to that car as you just saw the car do to this can. When this locomotive is pulling a full load, the train can weigh as much as 10,000 tons. I said ton, and that's 10,000 times more than any car weighs. So what kind of match is your car for this locomotive? You might as well be driving in an aluminum can. Come on, let's take a closer look at it. It's 11,000 cubic feet of iron and steel. Most people can't even comprehend the power of a locomotive. More than 4,000 horsepower. Think about it. There are a lot of myths about trains. You might think trains always go slow, but some can pull as many as 200 loaded cars at more than 60 miles an hour. Some people even believe a train can stop if you get in its way. It can't. At 50 miles an hour, it takes at least 1.5 miles for the train to stop. And if the thought ever enters your mind that you can beat it at a crossing, forget it. Here's a list of 6,000 people who thought that they could beat the train. Just in the last 12 months, they were all wrong. They all lost. Taking on a train is stupid. The odds are against you, and the consequences, you don't even want to find out. So why would you even consider it?
How far away do you think this train is? How fast do you think it's coming at you? The truth is, nobody can tell from here. But if you tried to cross the tracks, right now, you wouldn't make it. Because trains are so big, they may look like they're going slow, but they're going faster than you think, and they're usually much closer than they look. It's even harder to tell at night. A single headlight looks almost the same when it's a mile away as it does when it's 500 feet away. And when it's 500 feet away going 60 miles an hour and somebody gets in its way, it's too late.
See an awful lot of cars come around gates every single day. I can usually tell whether it's going to be close, whether he's going to get around the gates in time. Most of the time I'm concerned about the car that I can't see. If somebody is following a car that will go around the gates, he gets the idea that as long as the guy in front of him went around the gates, I can go too. And I'm probably going to hit the car that comes along behind that doesn't look. Most of the time when a car does go around the gates, the driver doesn't look to see if I'm coming. About a year and a half ago, I was in running a train through Hammond, Indiana, and I had an elderly woman starting to come across the tracks, and I was blowing the whistle and doing everything that I could do normally in that situation. She evidently felt that she could get across the tracks in front of us because she put her head down and she had a walker in her hand. And she was shuffling, trying to beat us across the crossing. I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't ever want to take anybody's life. I don't really know how to express it because it's something that's deep inside. You have a high regard for everybody else's life. If there's one thing that I would say to everybody, if I could talk to everybody and tell them about what to be safe around trains is to stay away. I can't stop. I have no control over what you're doing around the track. I only have control of the train, and the train is not going to stop. The train's going to win.
You can never really be sure about trains, can you?
The only way to be sure is to obey the safety rules and the laws that apply. Never go through a crossing with a lowered gate or when the lights are flashing. It's against the law. And even if you're lucky enough to make it through, you could still be slapped with a fine of up to $500.
And don't think that the law only applies to cars. It also applies if you're on a motorcycle, a bike, or even walking.
Did you know that railroad tracks are private property? And if you walk or play on tracks or in the railroad yard, that you're trespassing and you can be arrested?
Some of the rules of railroad safety are just plain common sense, such as this one. Don't ever stop on the tracks. Once you start across, keep going. If you stop and try to back up, you might stall or become stuck.
And make sure your path isn't blocked on the other side of the tracks. Never drive onto railroad tracks until you are sure that you can drive all the way across. If you are not absolutely sure, then wait until your path is clear.
And if you ever do get stuck or stall on the tracks, get out of your car immediately. If a train is coming, stay clear of the tracks and your car. If no train is coming, have someone watch in both directions while you try to start or move the car. If you can't get the car off the tracks, call the police and then stay clear of the tracks until help arrives.
As you said, most of it is just common sense, but there's a lot we can all learn about railroad safety.
You're right about that, and that's why we're doing this program.
Well then, let's watch some more.
Good idea.
isn't the way to have fun. This kid was lucky, but some aren't. When you play in a railroad yard, or anywhere around railroad tracks, you're not only trespassing, but you're risking your life. If you get caught, you could be prosecuted. No matter how you look at it, it's a dangerous place to play. And it just isn't worth it.
Negative K, nothing further, just see the cabbie in the corner. Alright, 19 Sergeant Essential. 19 Sergeant, Sergeant.
Normal car train accident, usually there's a lot of damage. Getting the vehicles off of the train sometimes can be difficult because of the speeds involved with the train as to the slower speeds of the vehicles. The two vehicles will almost melt together at impact. Very oftentimes there can be a death involved. The accident that I remember the best was in 1971. There were 4 young people in a car. They had been drinking, all 4 of them. They went around the lowered crossing gates at one of our local intersections, and they were struck broadside by an eastbound freight train. After impact, the train carried them close to 1,600 feet before it stopped, and in the accident, 3 of these young people were killed.
It's real tough sometimes to deal with some of these car train accidents. Your heart is pumping, your adrenaline's flowing. You see a lot of very bad things, very unsightly things, very unnatural things. And the impact on you personally is so direct and so profound that you never want to even consider crossing railroad tracks when the gates are down.
We've had some real bad accidents and where we've wiped out entire families. And this is the type of thing that would be the worst. Why people take these chances, why they do these things, I'd like to know myself. I don't have the answer to that. These needless accidents of this type certainly could be avoided if people would just slow down, take it easy, stop, look, and listen, and obey their warning signals.
On the way there, the guardrails were down, so we went down a little ways, further down the tracks to see if they were down over there, and we seen the train coming towards us. So we turned around and went to the nearest tracks, and the train was about 3 blocks away. They're doing about 20, around 20 right there, and then we sped up to about 25. Looked that way to see if the train was any closer, and went across the tracks, and as soon as I hit the guardrail, I seen the other train coming the other way.
What do you want to do? Hey, what do you want to do? Hey, what do you want to do?
I don't know, whatever you want to do.
I don't care, whatever you want to do.
You might think it's okay to walk along railroad tracks, but it isn't. You might even think you can always hear a train when it approaches. Well, maybe you can, and maybe you can't.
What do you want to do?
Railroad tracks are full of surprises. They're full of danger, too. But when you think about it, there's really no good reason for there ever to be another train accident at all.
If people would just be careful, follow the rules of safety, and obey the law.
And don't forget about using a little common sense.
Right. Railroad safety is a big problem, but it has a very simple solution, and it's up to all of us to make that solution work.
Take the time now to learn more about railroad safety. And whenever you're around railroad tracks, whether you're driving, walking, or riding your bike, think. Don't let anything distract you. Beware and be safe.
Remember, you can't stop the train, but you can stop the accidents.
Come on, kids, hurry it up. We're running late. Come on, come on. Come on. Okay, everybody. everybody get settled. We are moving out. Oh man, this traffic is murder. I'm getting further behind schedule. You better settle down back there. I haven't got time to mess with you guys today. A lousy voltage regulator and I'm late again. If I don't get home on time tonight, Alice is gonna kill me. Come on. Move it up there. Hey, listen, don't worry. I'm going to get you there okay. Don't I always? Look, I'm going to slow down a little.
Did you see what happened this afternoon?
With Jim? Yes, terrible. He was in a hurry to call him Al.
I guess he made it across too many times in the past.
Does that excuse what Jim did? Does that make it all right?
No, of course not.
Then are we going to try and help him? Yes, dear, I think we have to.
You two get right on in the house. It's almost dark. If I hurry, I'll only be a half hour late. Maybe Alice will understand. Oh, man. What now? Come on now, give me a break.
It's no use, Jim.
What? Who's there? One of you kids thinks this is funny.
I'm not a kid, Jim. I'm not anything, I guess, except perhaps a memory.
Oh, no. Now I'm hearing things. I gotta get this bus started and get out of here.
Come on. I told you, Jim, it's no use. It isn't going to start. Not until we've had a talk.
Talk? Talk to what? Must be going bonkers.
Talk to me, Jim, and the others. Wait, maybe this will help.
What is this? Did you people script my bus? Where did you come from? Who are you?
Who are we? Technically, Jim, we aren't anybody. But you can think of us as the ghosts of Grade Crossing X. We don't exist, except for the moment in the back of your mind. So we can't exactly tell you who we are. We can only tell you who we were.
I'm Dorothy. I was 10 years old and in the third grade.
Dorothy died some years ago here at Grade Crossing X. She was on her way home from school. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was Carol. I was 32 when it happened. I was supposed to be married, but see.
Carol was the driver of the school bus. She had a perfect record.
I have a perfect record.
Up until the accident, of course.
Oh. Me? I was Bill. I was 43 when it happened. I was, oh God.
Bill was the engineer on the train that was involved. He had a wife and 3 kids to take care of. But he died 2 years later. Of grief, they said.
And you? You seem to be the head honcho. Who are you?
I'm Alan. I died here too, a long time ago. You might say I'm the original ghost of Grade Crossing X.
Sure you are. A ghost. I'm supposed to believe you're all ghosts, huh? Well, I got news for you. People don't believe in ghosts anymore.
No, Jim. He doesn't have to believe, does he?
No, darling, he doesn't have to believe.
No, not as long as he listens.
Well, Jim, will you listen?
Okay. I listen, then you let me start my bus and get out of here. Is that the deal?
That's the deal.
Okay, then. I'm all ears.
Do you know where you are?
Sure, I go this route every school day. I'm on... It's all funny looking out there. This isn't the Bering Road crossing.
No, Jim, this is Grade Crossing X. Like us, it doesn't really exist. Think of it, Jim, as a composite of all the grade crossings in the country, where a street or highway crosses a railroad track. Grade Crossing X is all of them combined in a place of sorrow.
Sorrow?
A place of death and injury and immense sorrow. This year alone, 219,000 train vehicle accidents will occur, every one of them preventable. 600 deaths will occur, each and every one of them needless, futile. And 2,600 serious injuries, equally preventable and without good reason. Many of those 219,000 needless accidents will involve a school bus, and many of those deaths will be the deaths of their passengers.
Kids, you mean?
Kids. In most cases, the train involved will be going at a speed of under 35 miles an hour. Over half of these accidents will occur with automatic warning signals operating and impossible to overlook unless they're intentionally ignored. And 2/3 will occur in broad daylight. And incredibly, 1/4 of the time, the vehicle will run into the side of the passing train. Those are the facts here at Grade Crossing X.
But why have you brought me here? I mean, yeah, the facts are kind of unbelievable. But see, Alan, me, I have a perfect record. Not so much as a speeding ticket. What has this got to do with me?
Doesn't he know?
I don't think so, darling. Not yet.
Don't know what?
It will all become clear.
Trains, Alan. Tell them about trains. Now, my train, if it'll help.
It might, Bill. You see, Jim, the 202 was rolling down the track early on a Tuesday morning. Bill was at the controls of the big diesel, pulling 151 cars. He was within city limits, too, so he was only going about 30 miles an hour. As Bill approached the crossing, horn blasting away, something incredible happened. A school bus pulled into the path of the train. Bill hit the brakes of the train as hard and fast as he could, but he knew there was no way on God's earth the big heavy train could stop in time. All Bill could do was watch in horror as his train moved relentlessly toward the bus full of children. Even now he can't describe the emotions that assaulted him. The agony, the helplessness, the desperation. It was going to happen, and there was nothing he could do to stop it.
What happened? Was anybody...
3 children survived. The other 17 and the driver died instantly. Pieces of the bus were found as much as 120 yards from the site of the impact.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
I hope so, Jim. While you're thinking, think about this. A train, on the average, weighs about 6,000 tons. A school bus weighs about 10 to 15 tons, doesn't it, Jim?
Yeah, about that.
So a train weighs at least 400 times as much as a school bus. Can you imagine what a 6,000-ton train can do to a 15-ton bus in a collision, even at 30 miles an hour? Can you?
Yeah, I can.
So, for obvious reasons, you are 3 times more likely to die if your vehicle is hit by a train than another's vehicle. Every train and bus accident is a serious one. And when a 6,000-ton train hits its brakes, it takes 2/3 of a mile for the train to come to a full stop.
2/3 of a mile, huh?
And a train can't swerve suddenly to avoid a collision. Trains don't have steering wheels, Jim. They can only go where the tracks go. By law, trains always have the right of way. A school bus driver can get a ticket for failing to yield.
Does that tell you anything about Bill's accident?
Well, it certainly wasn't his fault. He was going the speed limit, blowing the horn. He tried to stop, but he couldn't. And he couldn't turn or anything to avoid the smash-up. Wait a minute. I see what you're getting at. You want me to admit that it's never the train's fault.
Well, is it?
I guess not. Certainly, it wasn't your fault, Bill.
You don't understand. There was 17 of them. 17.
There was a hearing, and Bill was completely exonerated. But somehow nobody could ever convince him. He died with those 17 dead children on his mind. From the bus driver's viewpoint, there's something else, Jim. Because of the shallow 3 to 5 degree angle from which you see a train when you pull up to a grade crossing, and because of the size of the train itself, you can easily get the optical illusion that the train is a lot farther away and going a lot slower than it actually is. In other words, a train can be right on top of you in no time, quicker than you think.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I guess you have to try to know when trains are scheduled so you can be forewarned, huh?
I'm afraid that won't help. Trains operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They must be expected at all times. If you want to anticipate when a train is coming, just figure that any time is train time, because that's true. In any case, trains give you plenty of warning when they're coming. There's an elaborate warning system working for you. As you near a crossing, you'll see this advanced warning sign by the roadside. There may be another one like it painted on the pavement just before the crossing. You'll also see the crossbuck, the white cross boards that say railroad crossing. And at many crossings, red lights that flash when a train is coming, and perhaps even a gate that comes down to bar your progress. At some crossings, there'll be bells, and the train itself will always give you 4 blasts on its horn, 2 long, 1 short, 1 long, as it approaches the crossing. It's hard to miss, wouldn't you say, Jim?
Yeah, but what if something's down or not working?
Then you take responsibility and report it to the railroad or to the police as soon as you can. Local taxes pay for these grade crossing warning systems, and they cost up to $100,000. But the railroad has responsibility for maintaining them.
Oh, look, this is all very interesting, but I know most of this stuff. You know they're always cramming this safety business down our throats. So why have you got me in this weird place? Why are you telling me all this?
He doesn't know. He doesn't understand. Shouldn't we tell him?
Tell me what?
In good time, Dorothy. There's no rush. Jim, as you said, it wasn't Bill's fault, but it was mine. I didn't. Helen, will you?
Carol was the driver of the bus that was hit by Bill's train. She was thought of at the school as an exemplary driver, one who carefully followed the rules. She won 2 Best Driver awards, and the more cynical of the co-drivers made the usual nasty cracks about her dedication to safety. You know how that goes. Carol could have written a book on school bus safety. She was alert, attentive every minute she was at the wheel. She refused to yield to the constant distractions that might take her attention from her task. At least for those couple of hours each school day that she had charge of them, she felt like these kids were her own. Maybe because she didn't have any of her own, not yet. She would do anything to protect them, including following the rules at grade crossing. She understood the extreme danger that lurked potentially at every grade crossing for herself and her kids. The moment she saw the advance warning sign, she would immediately go on the defensive. She would slow down because she knew what the stats said, that most accidents at crossings come from driving too fast. Carol knew that train or no train, it was a law that she had to stop at every crossing. She had even told her kids to squeal on her if she ever went too fast or failed to stop at a crossing. Of course, that's what kids are supposed to do. Carol would stop, open the bus door, and not only look for all the warning signs, she would also listen for the warning bells or the train's 4 blasts on the horn. And she'd roll down her window on the coldest days so she would be sure to hear. She kept the noise from the kids under control, too. No loud radios or shouting and hollering to distract her or keep her from hearing a warning. If there was a train coming, she gladly yielded the right of way, not only because it's the law, but also because it was the only safe thing to do for her kids. Even when the train had passed and the gate came up, Carol wouldn't charge on across without looking and listening again. She would always note the little sign on the crossbuck pole that told her how many tracks there were to cross. If there happened to be more than one, she'd make sure there wasn't another train coming from the other direction on the other track before proceeding across. If there were no trains coming, Carol would still proceed cautiously. She knew better than to pass another vehicle at the crossing. That might obscure her view of the tracks one way or the other. Carol was alert to that situation in which a car ahead is stopped when there isn't enough room to get the bus across and completely clear of the tracks on the other side. And she'd never let herself stop on the tracks or get on the tracks when she couldn't get off. No way. Carol knew to shift gears before starting across the tracks, not on them, because the bus could stall during the shift. Carol had already thought it through ahead of time. What she'd do if halfway across the tracks the warning bell started to clang or she heard the train's horn blasting. She knew she would never stop and try to back up. She knew she had about 20 seconds before the gate came down or the train arrived. Plenty of time to get completely across the tracks and out of harm's way, and that's what she would do. And if she saw the far gate coming down in front of her before she could get through, she was fully prepared to do what she'd been instructed. Crash right on through. Gates aren't precious. The lives of her passengers are. And if the bus stalled on the tracks with a train coming, Carol knew the only possible course of action. Get everybody out of the bus and as far from the bus as possible, but in the same direction the train's coming from, so as to avoid being hit by the flying glass and metal that would result when the train hit the bus. It's true. Carol knew all the rules and always abided by them. Except that one day. Huh, Carol?
I think so foolish now. But there was a bridal shower for me that night, and I was afraid I wouldn't have time to get ready.
Maybe you can understand how it was, Jim. You know, being late for something with your mind on something besides your responsibilities.
Well,
Driving a little too fast, and when you got to that grade crossing, telling yourself, hey, I've crossed this thing 1,000,000 times and nothing ever happened. And when the bell suddenly clanged and the lights flashed, you told yourself that you could make it through easy, right?
But you see, I was lucky living Bill. I didn't have to live with 17 deaths on my conscience.
Hey, listen. That could never happen to me.
It's going to.
Going to? What do you mean? What does she mean, going to? Going to happen to me?
If you continue on the course you've begun, ignoring the rules, playing around with the lives of your passengers.
No, I'm not going to do that crazy stuff anymore. I'm not. I guarantee that. Well, Alan, where are you? Where'd everybody go? And am I back? Is it okay now? It started. Oh, whew. All right, let's see. Look, listen, shift, and go.
Well, what do you think?
You mean will he change? Maybe.
I believe him.
I want to believe him. Time will tell.
Every day at GTE, thousands of employees are on the job in company vehicles, driving in crowded city streets, through residential neighborhoods, and on country roads. In each of these areas, there's a deadly hazard drivers need to watch out for. And that's it right there, railroad crossings. Train vehicle collisions are the #2 cause of serious and fatal accidents among GTE employees on the job, second only to accidents involving more than one vehicle. Ironically, train vehicle collisions are one of the easiest accidents to avoid. So why do they happen? In the next few minutes, we're going to show you and give you some rules to live by when approaching railroad crossings. Because regardless of how well a crossing is protected, you should always consider it a deadly crossing. With all the safety precautions surrounding railroad crossings, it's hard to believe train vehicle collisions happen. There are warning signs, bells, flashing lights, and gates to prevent motorists from driving into the path of a train. And yet it happens, thousands of times each year. Railroad crossing accidents involving GTE employees on the job have gone up dramatically in recent years. And yet they can be avoided by using a little extra caution. Railroad crossings are clearly marked to give drivers plenty of time to slow down, stop, and look for a train. There are even signs urging extra caution. But warning signs only tell you a crossing is ahead. They don't tell you what kind of crossing guard is in place. There are 3 kinds to look for. The protected crossing with a gate, used in areas with heavy traffic flow. The protected crossing without a gate, just flashing lights and bells, in areas with moderate traffic. The third type is an unprotected crossing. No lights, no bells, no gates, only a pole with cross arms saying, railroad crossing. Use extreme caution with this kind of crossing. Come to a complete stop and look both ways before driving over the tracks. While the unprotected crossing is the most dangerous, fatal accidents occur at all 3 kinds. The Federal Railroad Administration says most fatal accidents occur because drivers ignore warning signals. How often have you done this? A study by Pennsylvania State University says people think of trains as an interference to their daily routine. According to the study, when warning lights at a crossing begin flashing, drivers don't know if they'll be delayed 5 minutes or 15 minutes. The uncertainty encourages them to race the train. It's a deadly game. If you win, you save a few minutes. If you lose a lifetime. Take the example of Tom here, an installer-maintainer. He's a hard worker, good at his job, always careful. He's running a little late today. He's having a problem cleaning up his last case of trouble. It's his wedding anniversary. He has dinner reservations in about an hour.
Come on. Yeah, dispatch. Tom here. I finally got clear at 6:10. Hey, I'm running a little late. Would you give my wife a call and tell her I'm coming, but I'm going to be late? Yeah, it's our anniversary. I got reservations for, well, less than an hour. Hey, thanks. I appreciate it.
happened because he was in a hurry. Trying to gain a few seconds cost Tom his life. Don't you make the same mistake. Here are a couple of rules that could save your life. First, expect a train anytime from either direction. Second, never assume anything at railroad crossings, especially if you cross the same tracks frequently. Most crossing accidents occur within 25 miles of the victim's home, at familiar crossings. One GTE employee was killed at a crossing he drove over every day. It was similar to this one, in a rural area with no gates. The only trains he ever saw were slow-moving freight trains. As he approached the crossing, he could see the train's headlight a couple of 100 yards down the tracks. Plenty of time to beat a slow-moving freight train. He was right, except this time it wasn't a freight train. It was an Amtrak passenger train traveling nearly 75 miles an hour. It only took a couple of seconds for the Amtrak to cover the 200 yards. It hit the driver's side of the van, killing the employee. Besides following the two rules of expect a train anytime from either direction and never assume anything at railroad crossings, the best rule is stop, look, and listen. It's possible one fatal accident might have been avoided if the victim had followed these rules. Dick Loney investigated the accident and explains how it happened.
After talking with witnesses and piecing the evidence together, we believe the accident happened because the employee didn't see the train, even though he apparently looked both directions. The crossing was one like this one, at the edge of a wooded area. The tracks intersect the road at a slight angle, and the train was coming from that direction, and the employee was coming from the tracks from that direction. The wooded area blocked his view on the passenger side. Also, the closer he got to the crossing, the more the tracks were almost behind him on the passenger side because of the angle. He had a clear view out the driver's window. The tracks stretched away from him, and he could see for several hundred yards that the direction was all clear. But we think his view out the passenger side was partially blocked by the woods and his door post.
He didn't see the train, and he wasn't wearing his seatbelt. As a result, he didn't have a chance. If he had stopped to get a better look in both directions, the accident might not have happened. But instead, he drove onto the unprotected crossing, assuming it was safe.
It's a deadly crossing when you assume it's safe. Don't take chances. The train can't stop. You can. If you do approach a guarded crossing that seems to be malfunctioning, look for another crossing. Not only is it unsafe to drive around a crossing gate that's down, it's against the law. Railroad crossing accidents are the #2 cause of fatal and serious injury accidents among GTE employees on the job. Don't you become a victim of the deadly crossing. Remember, anytime you approach a railroad, always expect a train from either direction and assume nothing. Stop, look, and listen. These are rules to live by.
time I come to a stop, sounds like a screeching freight train.
Well, you bring it in the first of next week, we'll take a look at it.
Okay, Charlie, we'll do.
Fellas, you guys know a good place to get a bite to eat around here? I'm starved. Been on the road since dawn.
Sure, there's a place a couple of miles down the road. It's called the Paradise Cafe. You go across the railroad tracks, make a right, it's on your left. You can't miss it.
Yeah, it's almost heaven.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, no problem. There's nothing like the Monday meatloaf special at the Paradise Cafe.
Yeah, especially when it's Friday and they're still serving it. Hope he's got an iron gut.
Now, where's that diner?
Can I warm your coffee? Oh, no, thank you.
This old boy was driving his gas truck from Waterton to Lufkin. Just wanted to get home before dark, I guess.
2 eggs over easy, sausage and toast.
Well, it's not on the left. And it sure ain't paradise, but I guess this will do.
Order up. Coffee?
Yeah, sure. If it's fresh.
Nothing fresh here but Angel.
You new in town, good looking?
Just passing through. Thanks.
What's your name, son?
Jake.
They call me Gabe.
Nice to meet you.
Order up.
No, my God.
Be so much stupider.
I guess he figured he was gonna beat it. And then he had to cut that car.
Man.
Can I warm your coffee? No, thank you, dear. How about you, sir? Harold, she asked if you want more coffee.
Yes, thank you.
He's a little hard of hearing, you know. Right, Harold?
Whatever you say, Gracie.
Oh, just take that loud rock and roll. They'll be deaf as you before they know it. Right?
You're a good pig one, that.
Order up.
Yeah, but my cheese sailed across that track last minute. I figured every time.
But guys, it's so scary.
I know about it, pal.
Put another phone in there.
Come on.
We made it.
Yeah, we could have got killed, too.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Don't worry about it. We made it there.
Barely.
We're here. Doesn't matter.
No, it does.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Hey.
I think you're so bad, don't you?
Yes. That's stuff we are.
And they're all in such a rush, like that crazy teen driver that almost ran us off the road. Harold remembers. He could tell you. We were out for our Sunday drive, just as minding our own business, when all of a sudden a young man in one of these little sports cars came right up behind us, started honking his horn and tailgating. Well, I was going the speed limit, and he should have been too. These young people, no patience at all. He just came zooming right past me.
That's terrible. He could have run you off the road.
That's just what I was afraid of. Well, I was so busy watching him. I almost didn't see where I was going. I looked up as soon as he went by, and what should I see but flashing lights, a railroad crossing sign, and a big freight train right there blowing its...
Angel, order up.
You must have been scared to death.
I swear I thought it was the end of me. Poor Harold, he was white as a ghost. Right, Harold?
Whatever you say, Gracie.
Well, it's all over now.
When there's an emergency, nothing gets in my way, not even a big old freight train.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Just keep the siren going and everybody gets out of your way.
Ready to order?
Yeah, sure. Roast beef on rye.
No rye bread today. Wasn't expected.
A roll will be fine.
Roast on a roll.
Order up. Yeah, that old boy was driving that gas truck from Waterton to Lufkin. Just wanted to get home before dark, I guess.
2 eggs over easy, sausage and toast.
Hey, be an angel. Bring me some Tabasco for those. Ain't nothing too hot for me to handle. Except maybe you, Angel.
Are you kidding, Frank? You can't even handle the gears of your truck without grinding them. Okay, give me some Tabasco, Gabe.
Tabasco.
Okay, scrambled with hash browns and a #1 straight up.
Toast is burnt, Angel.
You want some more?
No, that's okay. You got to eat a pound of burnt toast before you can get to heaven. Anyways, that's what my mom always told me.
Well, anyway, he must have thought he could beat that train. You know how those freight loads always look like you're pulling real slow. Well, it looked to me like you never even thought about downshifts until he was near the tracks.
I guess he figured he was going to beat it, then had second thoughts.
Yeah, well, he was sure pulling a tanker full of fuel. 10,000 gallons of firepower. Sure guess wrong.
Warm your coffee?
I've seen my share of people taking chances across the tracks in front of me. Gasoline trucks and school buses. You got to be crazy. Man, I'm pulling tons behind me. I can't stop on a dime.
I'll tell you what, I never saw anything explode like that. Flames 50 feet in the air. I'll tell you what, it near knocked me on my butt.
Order up.
Can I warm your coffee? No, thank you. How about you, sir? No. You want more coffee?
Yes.
Close call.
You okay, buddy?
I hope so. I sure had a close call, let me tell you. I think I better sober up a bit. Coffee? Yeah. Keep it coming. I got a long ride home.
Starting the weekend early, huh?
No. Just a little celebration. Starting my 15th year with Fuller.
You look a little shook up.
You bet I am. I just had a close call with the train. I didn't hear it coming, and in my condition, I certainly didn't see it coming. I guess the old reflexes are still all right, though. I made it across in the nick of time. But it sure scared the life out of me.
Order up.
Weird about this. I mean, I'm pulling tons behind me. I can't stop on a dime. Whatever you say, Gracie.
You kidding, Frank? You can't even handle the gears of your truck without grinding them.
Excuse me. Why are all these people in the paper? What's the deal? And there's no date. Is it today's?
No matter. Really. It's always the same old story, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Look, I'm ready for my check. That's strange. I must have left my wallet in the car. I'll be right back.
It's okay. Don't sweat it, pal. Everybody runs a tab in here.
Hey, what's going on around here? Why won't the door open?
Read the sign.
Let me out of here!
You don't sweat it, pal. Everybody runs a tab around here.
Let me out of
What's your name, son? Order up.
New in town. He's hard of hearing.
Whatever you say, Gracie.
I certainly didn't see it
Come on, Sarah, let's do this.
No, don't come in. No. Please, don't come. Don't come in. It's a bad place. Don't come in. Not all these kids.
Food that bad?
Order up.
I'm not one of them. I did beat that train. I got out. They can't keep me in there.
Car 311, hold me out, Route 19 at Sycamore with a train car, 1050. I'll advise.
Car 311, 10-9.
He tried to beat the train. Do you think he's dead? Maybe.
Nothing really injured white male, first in his train accident. Last name is Stockton, first name of Jake. Rural Route 1, Box 299, Lufkin, Texas.
Wonder who tried to beat that train this week.
Emergency contact number 806-555-6026. That's located right up there.
11, 10-4, 10-6. Can you have a unit close southbound Route 19?
Need to get another set of vitals on him when we get him in the unit. Yeah, he looked pretty bad when we got to him.
Looks like his color's improving a little bit.
What happened? Last thing I remember, I was going around that gate. Train. What about the line? Those people seem so real. How did I get away?
Jake was dead wrong about beating the train. But Jake was lucky. He lived. Each year, hundreds of people are killed in collisions like Jake's, and several thousands more are seriously injured. I'm Michael Gross. My railroad roots go back to my grandfather and my great-grandfather and to my own work experience on the railroad. So I know how important it is to get people to look and listen when they come to a crossing. In many instances, motorists pay little attention to the potential hazards of rail highway crossings. Like Jake, they fail to heed the warning signs, the crossbucks, the gates, the flashing lights. They fail to look and to listen. Many of the incidents in this film are based on true stories. The gasoline truck driver who thought he could make it across ahead of the train not only killed himself, but several drivers behind him and the locomotive engineer. New drivers, like those in the film, think beating the train is a challenge. Others just don't see or hear the train approaching because they're not paying attention. You don't hear of these cases very often unless they occur in your community. But more people are killed in crossing accidents in 1 year than in airline crashes most years. Trains cannot stop quickly. Often they're pulling thousands of tons behind them. While they may see you, it can take them up to a mile to stop the train. And like Jake, not everyone dies, but many are disabled for life. Operation Lifesaver is a nationwide program working to prevent rail highway crossing tragedies through education and effective traffic law enforcement. Operation Lifesaver has active state programs in 49 states and needs your support. For the name of your state coordinator or for more information on how you can help, contact Operation Lifesaver Incorporated, 1522 King Street, Alexandria, Virginia, 22314, or call 1-800-537-6224. It isn't a hard lesson to learn. When you come to a rail highway crossing, look, listen, and live.